Morty is finally out in here for all of us to play and enjoy inside of the multiverse. However, after playing and leveling Morty, you may be left wondering what the best perks are for his kit. Well, it just happens to be your lucky day, Mr. Internet Stranger, because today we're going to be discussing what exactly the best perks and builds are on Morty and why you should be running them. Starting off with signature perks, On More Than Just a Hammer is Morty's first signature perk unlocked at level 8. I'm More Than Just a Hammer allows Morty's hammer during the third hit of his forward jab string to hit multiple times as he swings it in a circular motion. This perk seems really good at first glance, however once we dig more into it we begin to see the flaws in this perk. In theory, this should allow you to deal significantly increased damage as well as increasing your kill power. However, in actuality, you're only realistically going to be hitting 2 hits of your hammer, even 1 hit in many scenarios. And this combined with the fact that Morty's forward jab combo isn't true makes this perk a decent option, but it's nowhere near as crazy as some other signature perks on different characters. However, for what he has available, it's not the worst option. Oh, That's Still a Grenade is Morty's second signature perk, which is unlocked at level 10. Oh, That's Still a Grenade is Morty's second signature perk, which is unlocked at level 10. Oh, That's Still a Grenade allows Morty to have a larger explosive radius when his grenades are cooked. Now, something to keep in mind that threw me off when I first started using this perk is that cooking a grenade in this game is different to what other games may have with similar mechanics. Cooking a grenade is not holding the grenade before you throw it. It actually means to let the grenade sit on the ground before detonating it. As you can see in the background footage, charging the grenade does not increase the blast radius. However, when the grenade has already been ticking on the ground for a while, there's quite a sizable increase to the AoE of the explosion. Overall, I'd say this is an alright perk. Once again, nothing crazy, but Morty doesn't really have any crazy good signature perks. Moving on to Morty's third and final signature perk, Extra Fleeve Juice, also known as the perk with the worst description in history. The description of Extra Fleeve Juice simply states, Morty's plumbus leaves the floor extra squeaky clean. What does that mean? Turns out what this extremely helpful description is attempting to say is that Morty's down attack, aka the Plumbus, now cleanses the floor of any damaging hazards such as Rain Dog's fire or Tom and Jerry's trap. Which, to be honest, is something that should just be built into the attack instead of it being a full-on signature perk, but I don't know, whatever. Overall, I'd say that this is a cool and unique perk. However, I would recommend pretty much always taking either On More Than Just a Hammer or Oh, That's Still a Grenade. Out of the two, I'd personally say that Oh, That's Still a Grenade edges out On More Than Just a Hammer as far as overall utility goes. Now that we've discussed Morty's signature perks, let's take a look at the minor perks that will give Morty the biggest benefits, starting with the most popular perk I see people recommending for him, which is CoffeeZilla. CoffeeZilla is a perk that makes perfect sense to run on Morty, as a lot of his abilities have cooldowns, with some of them being on the longer side of the cooldown spectrum. Due to CoffeeZilla providing a straight up 10% decrease to all of your abilities' cooldowns, this almost seems like a no-brainer perk choice. However, after doing some research in the lab, I believe that there is actually a much better perk option if you're looking to reduce Morty's cooldown. What if I told you there was a perk that no one is talking about right now that will give you 10% of your cooldowns back almost completely on command? Well, as crazy as it may sound, that perk is actually in the game, and it's known as I dodge, you dodge, we dodge. This is a perk that I haven't seen in any of my games, and after testing it extensively, I can tell you that this is easily one of the best perks not only on Morty, but in the entire game. With this perk equipped, you will gain 10% of all of your cooldowns back just by dodging an attack. Something important to keep in mind when using this perk is that it provides an additive 10% cooldown reduction, meaning that you will be getting 10% of the total cooldown back every time you dodge, as opposed to getting 10% off of your remaining cooldown. This means after just a couple dodges that you'll be getting a large portion of your cooldowns back, allowing you to keep applying pressure with Morty's snake gun or potentially recovering with his autopilot spaceship. But wait, there's more. On top of all of the other benefits that this perk provides, the cooldown reduction also applies to your entire team, even if just one person is running it. Seriously, you need to try out this perk, it's absolutely bonkers currently. As I'm sure plenty of you already know, both the Ignition and Ice Projectile debuffs are insanely good in the current meta, and that's no different for Morty. Due to how many of Morty's attacks are actually projectiles, you'll be getting a lot of utility out of these perks, making them both worth talking about in this video, starting with Ice to Beat You. Ice to Beat You applies a 15% slow on your opponent whenever you hit them with a projectile. This means whenever you hit someone with Morty's snake gun, grenade impact, grenade explosion, grenade ricochet, or earth pillar, you'll be proccing ice on your opponent. which is honestly a crazy amount of attacks that will be applying debuffs to the opponent and will allow you to have more control over the pace of the match by slowing your enemy. This is a phenomenal perk choice for Morty, as it's going to really allow you to change the pace of the match in your favor. Moving on to our other projectile debuff perk, That's Flammable Dock. That's Flammable Dock will allow you to proc the ignition effect for 1 second if you hit an enemy within 3 seconds of hitting them with a projectile. This is a very interesting perk, as there's an extra step involved with applying the debuff as opposed to just simply instantly applying it on projectile hit like ice to beat you. Nevertheless, it's still a very good perk that will allow for a good chunk of extra damage if you're able to rush down your opponent shortly after hitting your projectiles, as Ignite deals 1 damage every 0.5 seconds, meaning you'll be getting a total of 2 extra damage when proccing the effect, or a very nice 4 extra damage if you're able to stack the perk with a teammate, due to the fact that the perk timer increases to 2 seconds when stacked. Something interesting about this perk is that it does appear to be bugged on Morty currently. If you shoot a snake gun while walking forwards, for whatever reason it will instantly proc the ignition effect without having to hit a follow-up hit. I have zero idea why this happens, but it's something that should be taken into account. This is a pretty good perk option for Morty, however, I would personally recommend running Ice to beat you over That's Flammable Dock, due to the ease of use as well as some of Morty's projectiles being harder to follow up on, making it more difficult to apply the ignition. Overall, both perks are very good, and either of them are completely reasonable to be using in your build. Triple Jump is one of the best perks in the game, and I was really sleeping on this perk while playing Morty, as I had originally thought that his kit wouldn't really benefit of it. However, I was very wrong. Due to Morty's absolutely insane up air, gaining an extra jump after hitting an enemy can allow you to follow up with an extra up air, potentially carrying your opponent into the kill box, or when utilizing Morty's fantastic offstage potential, having that extra jump can give you that last forward air you need to secure your knockout. Aerial Acrobat is another very solid perk for Morty, as it adds a nice chunk of rushdown speed to his kit when utilizing in-air movement, as well as making it easier to drag opponents off the stage with forward air. This is obviously very good, as it would allow you to put more pressure on the opponent, whilst also allowing you to move around the stage quicker. This perk can also be used to chase your opponents out of DIs, and is just overall a very good underrated perk. Since we're on the topic of moving around the map faster, let's talk about Speed Force Assist. Speed Force Assist provides you and your team a 4% boost in movement speed. This increase in speed is a very nice passive boost that can allow Morty to follow up off of his openers more consistently, such as being able to reach the opponent quicker after hitting them with his snake gun causing hit stun, and opening them up for a potential combo. This perk can allow for a very nice boost in mobility, as well as being a perk that just works passively in the background, which is just always appreciated. Make It Rain Dog is a perk you don't hear many people talk about outside of Tom and Jerry, and even I said in my last video that you shouldn't really be using it in other characters. Well, forget literally all of that, because while testing perks for this video, I noticed that while running Make It Rain Dog, you'll actually throw Morty's grenades farther by quite a noticeable amount. You'll also get more distance off of punching the grenade right after it's thrown, as you'll now instead be hitting the grenade with the edge of Morty's jab hitbox. This can actually be really beneficial on Morty, because one of his current weaknesses with his grenades is the short distance they cover, which can now be remedied by utilizing this perk's hidden projectile distance buff. My only guess as to why this may be occurring is due to the projectile speed actually increasing your projectile's velocity, meaning instead of just covering the range faster, it's actually covering more range due to the increased velocity that this perk is providing. However, that's just a theory, there may be some other explanation as to what's actually occurring here. A perk that may seem like a good option on paper is Hit 'em While They're Down. Hit 'em While They're Down will apply a 5% damage buff to yourself when hitting a debuffed opponent. At first glance, this may seem pretty good due to Morty's up air applying Ignite, then combined with something like Ice to beat you, which will then apply ice to all of your projectile attacks, which is most of Morty's kit. You'd think you might get some really good use out of this perk. However, something rather interesting is that Morty's up air doesn't actually apply the Ignite debuff. It actually applies a different nerfed version of the effect that doesn't count as a debuff. The traditional Ignite effect applies 1 damage every 0.5 seconds, whereas the Ignite on Morty's up attack applies 1 damage every 1 second. I don't know why this is how it works, but this is either a bug or just how they designed his kit for some reason. Either way, it's something to keep in mind and take note of. As you can see, Morty has access to quite a few good perk options, so I'd like to take the time to recommend a couple of potential builds that you can be running in your matches. Obviously, builds are subjective and personal, so just take these as suggestions and guidelines to base your next loadout off of. As an overall build for Morty, I'd say that I dodge, you dodge, we dodge, ice to beat you, and triple jump with the "oh that's still a grenade" signature perk is one of Morty's best builds. While using this loadout, you'll gain the advantage of consistent short cooldowns that I dodge, we dodge, you dodge provides, along with the utility and ability to better control the pace of the match due to ice to beat you, and of course the extra kill power because of triple jump's extra jump. However, if you're looking for something a bit more damage focused, something like "oh that's still a grenade" for the extra AoE, Make It Rain Dog for the increased speed and range on your grenades, That's Flammable Dock for the extra damage when capitalizing off projectiles, and finally Speed Force Assist to make it a bit easier to rush down opponents after hitting them with your projectiles. I believe this is actually a very good build for Morty, as it's going to allow you to proc the ignition debuff from That's Flammable Dock very consistently, allowing for a very nice increase in damage that you will definitely notice in your games. But if you're someone who just really wants to use I'm more than just a hammer, then a build such as I dodge, you dodge, we dodge, along with Speed Force Assist and Aerial Acrobat may be really good for you. A build like this would allow you to play extremely aggressive and constantly apply pressure to the opponent, whilst also giving you plenty of opportunities to dodge attacks to get your cooldowns back extremely quickly. Theoretically, a build like this could allow you to keep lots of pressure on your opponent and also allow you to be very aggressive throughout the course of a match. That just about wraps up what I believe to be Morty's absolute best perks to be using in the current meta. I would like to make it very clear that there isn't just one best perk build, and you really have to fine-tune to fit your personal playstyle and gameplay. The purpose of this video is just to give you an understanding of what the best perks are and how they work, so that you can make a more educated decision when making your next loadout for Morty. With all that being said though, thank you guys all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, consider subscribing to help me accomplish my overall goal of world domination. And if you didn't enjoy it, leave a dislike or an angry comment or something, I don't know, you do you, bro. But if you're curious as to what the best perks for Batman are, click on the video on your screen now where we discuss the best Batman builds.